Welcome along to the GL event stage at Event Sustainability Live. You can probably currently hear me through the speakers, but you won't be able to when the main speaker comes on. So if I can just ask you to put your headphones on to be able to hear this session. There's a couple of screens either side of me on stage, so just to my right hand side over here is a closed caption service provided by Interprify, which is capturing most of the words that are spoken during this session. There's also over to my left hand side a Slido screen. It's currently showing the questions from the last session. It's the same screen throughout the 2 days of the show, so if you do have any questions to raise during this session, please feel free to send them through and I'll pop up towards the end and ask Jonathan those questions. That's pretty much everything from me. If you do have any questions, as I said, ping them through. Other than that, I'm pleased to welcome Jonathan to the stage for this amazing session on Event Sustainability's live GL event stage.
Hi everybody. Everybody here okay? See a little hands up? Brilliant. Firstly, I'm not Simon Ursell, so apologies. Simon was ill today, so I'm taking his place. So hopefully I'll do it justice. Basically, what's brought me here really is the 4-day week that my business has implemented. So I'm John Berry. I'm a co-founder and director of Grange. We're an environmental consultancy based in the UK. We're 13 years old this week, founded by 4 of us, now about 100 of us covering the entirety of the UK. And we offer ecology, landscape and arboricultural services, generally linked to the planning industry to ensure that development accords with policy and is carried out in the most environmentally sustainable way it can be. Alongside that, we've always been a business that does things a little bit differently. We've always loved change and we've always loved innovation. Some of those innovations include the 4-day week, which I'll talk a bit more about later. But essentially, we work Monday to Thursday and get paid for Monday to Friday, which is pretty cool. We're also a certified B Corp, which we have been for a year. And alongside our main business sort of function, we also put on events for our team, for our partners and for our collaborators. And as a sidearm, we also make our own net zero beer, which we distribute to clients every week as a bit of a marketing hack, which again, great fun. We're a very purpose-driven and action-driven business. We like to just get stuff done. And we founded ourselves on some pretty strong values, which we've produced in accordance with our team and our clients and our collaborators. They're on the screen. So our values are caring, belonging, opportunity, enjoyment, and honesty. So that's a bit of a background about Grange and who we are. But next, I'm going to tell you a little story, actually. The Guru's Cat, some of you may have heard this story. I was introduced to it by a lady called Claire Murphy, and she's a professional teacher and storyteller, actually. She's worth following on LinkedIn or socials. She has some great stories and the power of storytelling, particularly in relation to sustainability. So this story deals with the fact that as humans, we essentially continue to do the same thing over and over again, often without a real understanding of why and never challenging it. So the Guru's Cat is a tale about a Zen master who during his daily sort of mindfulness practice sessions, he used to get increasingly disturbed by the small kitten that inhabited the monastery. It wandered around, it disturbed the students, and eventually the kitten was tied up. And this practice continued every day, every mindfulness session. The kitten was tied up to stop it wandering around, to stop it disturbing the Zen of the practitioners. And it went on year after year. Eventually the Zen master died, but the students carried on, kept tying the cat up during the session, didn't want it disturbing that mindfulness practice. Eventually that cat died, But the students got a new cat. The cat was tied up every day. Every mindfulness practice was undertaken in peace. No disturbance from the cat. But actually, the significance of that story was documented in scripture, in educational texts and scholarly articles. And they reveal that this spiritual importance and significance from the cat was fundamental to mindfulness practice. In actual fact, that was completely incorrect. It was a complete fallacy. It had become learnt behavior. The habit of tying the cat up every day in the monastery to stop disturbance had become a ritual, a habit that needed to be broken. Nobody was ever questioning it. And the reason that story struck a chord with me is because so many of us do things every day in our working life or our home life, social life, that we do because we've always done it. We don't challenge it. One of those things that I think we should all challenge, and we have, is the 4-day week. So the 5-day week, as most of you will know, has been in place in the UK for probably about a century. So as we know it, the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, it's mainly linked to the agricultural and sort of industrial economy. And in today's world, it is much less relevant, in my opinion. In the United States, some of you might recognize this guy, Henry Ford of the motor car industry. He was a change maker in 1926 because he took the decision to break away from the 7 or even 6-day working week to introduce the 5-day working week. And that was criticized at the time. It was a bold move to make. I've got a great quote, actually, which I'll just find. Yeah, he said, "Change is required. It is high time to rid ourselves of the notion that leisure time is either lost time or a class privilege." So manufacturers all over the world at that point then followed suit. And in 1939, President Roosevelt actually introduced the new act. It was the Fair Labor Standards Act, which put in place the 5-day working week as we know it pretty much globally now. However, what I would say is that the pandemic taught us again that things need to change. Certainly in my industry and possibly in yours, we could see that people needed to work in a different way. Technology was changing the way we do things. Demands on our time from digital devices, other pressures meant that it's increasingly difficult to operate in a 9 to 5 environment 5 days a week. So that's where Tyler Grange took the decision to formally trial and introduce a 4-day working week. To ensure that everything did thrive in our 4-day week, we had to do a full analysis of our current systems and our products, and then also formally join the global trial for the 4-day week. As part of that, we had to develop ways of sort of tracking data. We knew the criticism would be that there wasn't enough transparency or enough visibility in the impact in terms of sustainability a 4-day week was having on us and the world around us. So one of the things we did, we used our existing accounting and timesheet system to monitor performance, and we also produced our own app. We got a happiness app or a fatigue app, which we developed in association with a British Airways pilot, actually. They use a similar app to track their sort of fatigue levels before flying to make sure they're safe to fly. So every day, the team use their phones in our offices, log on, and it tracks mood, it tracks fatigue levels, it has a reaction test, some other questions. It takes about a minute, but that gave us some great data every day across our business for a full 18 months. We're still using it now to see what the impact of moving from the 5-day to the 4-day week might have. And actually, the results were pretty surprising even to us. So some of the stats we've had so far out of our 4-day week. In terms of happiness, the team are now 14% happier. They're 20%, actually 28% less tired as a team. 29% more productive on reduced hours, which is pretty amazing. given the lesser time being spent in the office. And that very much isn't compressed hours. We've just made ourselves more efficient over the 4 days, not cramming 5 days into 4 days. We've also seen a massive 66% reduction in absence through sick leave, and also a 21% reduction in business travel. And from a sustainability perspective, that's important to us. We've reduced our CO2 emissions for travel by a third, but we've roughly increased our productivity by a third. The two correlate, which is great, but we understand that there's still some unknown in terms of the impact of what happens on that 5th day, people's travel choices, people's lifestyle choices on the non-working day. What impact does that have on the environment? But I'll come on to that shortly. What we had to do to get the 4-day week working really efficiently for us was almost get to a point of zero admin. We wanted the admin to take care of itself in our business, so the team could just concentrate on doing the jobs that they love doing. And that needs a lot of preparation. It's different for every business. It's not easy. There's still challenges in that. But actually looking at your products, looking at how you work, looking at whether you can halve every meeting and its length, looking what transactions you can take out of your business just because you've always done them, all that will massively help you get to a 4-day working week. Another thing that shocked us actually as a 5-day week business, that was the figures for 2022. We lost 17 million days to poor mental health in the UK, which resulted in a £56 million financial deficit, which is pretty shocking. So again, the 4-day week for us has been a big social change to get people's mental health back on track, to give them time with their families, their friends, other people. All really important things. Some of these slides show the benefits of B Corp, which I say we are as well. The two go hand in hand, that responsibility to our people, the planet, and the purpose isn't just profit related. We do have to make a profit, and we don't shy away from being really honest about that and really transparent. We put a lot of that profit back into making our business as sustainable as we can. But I don't think profit should be a dirty word. It's like we have to have a profit to reinvest. Okay, so do something different. I think if you get to a point in your business or organization or with your events where it feels safe and comfortable, I think it's time that you probably looked at yourselves again and thought, how different can I be? What can we do that will shake this up a bit? What will be a stretch for us? What will make this harder? And we've continued to do that as a business. As I say, we know that the climatic benefits of a 4-day week are still to be proven. We have our own data, and we know that the UK trial for 4-day week submitted data to Future Planet that said generally there was a 10% reduction in commuting time across all the businesses that were involved in the 4-day week. Plus, there was an increase in people taking part in low-carbon activities such as walking and home-related hobbies. But the data is still coming through. What we could see from our perspective, we had a huge reduction in the amount of digital data and storage data that we're using as a business, which had, again, associated carbon footprint implications. That's been beneficial to us. And also the social benefits. What's been really important to see for me is that part-time workers, mums, families have not felt guilty on a 4-day week. They've worked and they've saved money on childcare, and they've had a lot more social cohesion with their families, which has been a bigger impact for us in terms of social sustainability as well as environmental sustainability. So what I would encourage you all to do, if you possibly can, is use some of your time for good. Our 4-day week, we don't say it's another 52 days holiday a year. We call them non-working days. And one of our big goals has been to drive towards 10,000 volunteering and community hours every year. and we're well on the way to that. The team had got involved in some amazing charities, including some of the environmental festivals up and down the country, and that's given them an opportunity to see life in a different way, experience life in a different way. And those hours given to others are fundamental in changing their appreciation of the environment that we live in. So I think a takeaway message for me is don't rule out radical thinking in your business, in your organization, or with your event. Just go for it. I mean, for every one person that supported our 4-day week initiative, I had another 5 saying it'll fail, it won't work. And so far we've proved them wrong, and that's great. We've got a lot of things wrong on the way. But that would be the second thing I'd say is don't fear failure. I'd really just encourage you to try it, make some changes. If it goes wrong, share it. Let others learn from it. There's no point pretending we're all perfect and we're always going to get the sustainability mission correct. Also, the key thing for me in terms of the 4-day week was efficiency and productivity. The 4-day week term is really sort of clickbait. It's what gets you the appearances on BBC News, but actually it's just about understanding, are you working in the most productive and efficient way you can be? And the answer for most of us is probably no. The UK sits at the bottom of the list of the European table in terms of workplace productivity and efficiency, so that needs a real look at. What processes in your own industry can be improved or even removed. Hierarchy, decision making, things being signed off, they're all things we looked at and have eliminated from our business to just improve the way it functions. So, I mean, really what I'd say is do something different and start that today, because if you don't, you'll never know. And you too will be the guru that ties his cat up during every mindfulness session. So move away from the accepted norm, make some changes, try and work towards embracing a 4-day week, or see how reduced working in your business might actually fundamentally change it for good. And yeah, I'd encourage you all to get involved. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any questions on the 4-day week topic or feasibility of that in your industry or organization, but obviously be happy to talk.
Perfect. I'll bring the microphone over to you. The Slido app on the screen on the right hand side is available should anyone want to raise a question as we go through. Yeah, over to you.
You mentioned that you'd made some key mistakes along the way. What were those, so we can try and avoid them?
I think the big mistake was underestimating that it was big news. The 4-day week, we talked about it for about 4 years, thinking, yeah, it's fine. It won't create much of a stir. No one's going to react harshly to a reduction in working hours. But actually, our industry, some of our clients didn't accept it well. Even though we'd worked behind the scenes, we'd done frequently asked questions, we got an emergency line in place. We'd done a lot of preparation, probably for 6 months to a year. So we thought we had everything covered. But you always get one question that you haven't considered. And actually, also, I think we underestimated the stress that it caused. Some people were already busy on a 5-day week, and the thought of reducing that to a 4-day week created even more stress. We had people that probably didn't tell their partners that they were doing a 4-day week, and they were disappearing from home on a Friday because they didn't want to be given a list of jobs to do on a Friday. So there was a whole communications piece internally where people were confused about how to deliver it to their families, friends, other halves, and people didn't want to see it as being work shy. There was a strong working ethic in our organization, and people at first thought this doesn't sit well with me. But I think once we educated them and our clients and told them, no, it's not about working less, it's about working smarter and then using that extra time for good, I think that message got through. And we've got an emergency line, and that's been called 3 times in 18 months. And one of the requests that came through on that was, could you please print a copy of a report for us? And that isn't really an emergency. So, in actual fact, we've not really seen any problems with our customer service or feedback in 18 months.
Perfect. There is a question on the screen. I think it relates to this session. So you mentioned about an app.
Yeah.
Did you buy that pre-made or create it yourselves? And do you mind sharing with the room how much that was?
Yeah, no, we didn't actually. We've created the app ourselves. We were very fortunate that our MD's son was doing a university course in Manchester, which made him a great candidate to trial his software skills and programming skills. So he helped us establish an app, and we did that in-house, and we've refined that at the moment, actually. So we have gone to experts externally at the moment, which we're looking at pushing that app to market, because we've had a lot of larger scale businesses say they have no data on the happiness, tiredness, fatigue patterns in their own organization. So the app is something that people are really interested in being able to use for themselves. So we've done some more work on it, and we've probably spent, I'd say, 20K with additional software and legal fees to get that ready to go to market, which should be soon. And again, that'll be low cost. We really want to get that out to other people. Conscious that people are sitting in teams just not knowing what issues are happening. You might have one-to-one meetings with team members. People will say they're happy to your face, coping, but actually the app's an anonymous way of getting more honest data from your team. See where the pressure points are. So really excited about launching that to market and sharing that with anybody who wants it, really.
Perfect, thank you. Any more questions from the floor? Oh, yeah, another one here.
Do you structure your 4-day week in that there'll always be someone covering the office, or does everyone take the same day off? How does that work?
Yeah, we took the decision because the research said it would have greatest impact if we all took the same day. So we get paid 5 days to work Monday to Thursday. So the whole business takes Friday off. I think by splitting days, it is an option for some businesses. What you have to be careful with that is that your stress doesn't get loaded onto someone else in the team who's taking a different day off. So we found the message of saying we're all taking the same day a much bigger message, but a much easier message to manage. I mean, in truth, we have got sub-consultants and collaborators we work with that work 7 days a week. So we got sole traders that prefer to work Saturdays and Sundays. So our work is continuing, but our core team just does Monday to Thursday.
Perfect, thank you.
I just wondered if you had any thoughts around, if it should be implemented, or how startups could take on the 4-day work week, or if you have to have a certain level of maturity and be able to, now is the time to prioritize it. Just after you shared you'd thought about it for 4 years, it just feels difficult necessarily for a young business to necessarily get going with this.
Yeah, you've definitely got to be ready for it. I think we couldn't have done this 5 years ago because our systems were shambolic in all honesty. So we knew we had to get our sort of house in order first before we'd be ready to make it work. But you could certainly trial things in different ways. As an organization, we started just committing to 1 day a month for everybody to do voluntary work, which started that cycle of understanding you could still be contributing away from the business. We gave everybody their birthdays off as an extra day leave because that created quite a positive buzz. So we started small things and saw how that worked, and then that gave us the encouragement that it would be possible. So I'd say, yeah, just dabble in it, or just trial it actually, and see if it could work for you. Most businesses that have found it a success, it hasn't been what sector they're in, it's just purely because they've prepared for it and they've consulted on it and they've involved their teams in it. So irrespective of sector or size, I think you can definitely make 4-day week work.
Lovely. Another question from Slido. Have you seen a difference in the number of holidays being taken?
Yeah, actually, it's a good question. I would say getting people to take annual leave, particularly the more junior team, is challenging, particularly since we've moved to the 4-day week. We generally encourage it per quarter now, a number of days per quarter, to try and let people have that sort of mental break. I think cost of living has probably meant that some of the team are less inclined to take bigger breaks and bigger, more exuberant holidays. So that has definitely meant that the formal taking of annual leave has suffered. But all we can do is encourage it and draw people towards sort of looking after themselves. I think what's still encouraging, though, is that people are actually taking or making holiday use from sort of Thursday all the way through to sort of Sunday evening. So a lot of people are taking shorter breaks and are coming back to work on a Monday feeling really refreshed. I mean, the big danger for me is that Thursday night now turns into the, do I have a drink on a Thursday night? Is that a new Friday night, or do I wait till Friday? So that's definitely a challenge for me.
What do you think the impact would be if the day that you nominated was a different day? Like, what was the thinking around Friday, and did you consider any other days?
Yeah, we considered Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So either splitting the week with an additional break, or Monday morning, the sort of lethargy of a Monday. But actually, again, when we looked at our productivity on a Friday, it was really, really bad. I think there was probably 2 or 3 hours of productive work on a Friday, and we said, actually, this is, it doesn't make sense to go to the expense of opening our offices, getting people to travel. Thursday nights in the property industry was often a social night as well, so people weren't necessarily on their best form anyway on a Friday. And so for us, everything aligned to suggest that Friday would have the least impact on our clients, but the biggest impact on our team. So that was the decision.
Lovely, thank you. I think that may be all the questions. So thank you very much for that session. Really engaging. Thank you everyone for all of your questions and for that session. Amazing. Thank you.